Cracking, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. New video. So today we're gonna do another reaction to the Prison Guard channel. It's a fast growing channel. It's a cool channel. Those of you who haven't gone, check him out, subscribe, give him a like, help him grow the channel. I think his type of channel is needed because it shows both sides of the coin. Today he just released this video. As I'm recording it, it came out 4 hours ago. I just saw it. I've already watched a little bit of it, and it's called Prison Race Riot at Centenela State Prison. Let's see what he's talking about.
Back to our channels, Warriors. We are still growing. We are less than 500 subscribers away from 8,000. 8,000 subscribers in about a month, in about less than a month time frame. That's crazy. All right, and it's all thanks to you guys. If you didn't catch my live yesterday, I talked about an incident that happened at Wasco State Prison. Prison guard went nuts, took the prison hostage. You can go check that out. With that being said, if you haven't tapped into my Instagram, it's Hector__Bravo. Go over there and give that a like. Now on to this episode. It's been a while since I talked about a riot, okay? I like to spice things up a little bit, mix it up. This riot right here that I'm going to talk about happened in 2008-ish. 2008. The reason I know that is because there's somebody on this channel that was an inmate in Delta Gym during a big staff assault that happened. It was the Southsiders went off on these two officers, and he was giving me the back detail on that side of the house, which is cool to be able to dialogue and be able to kind of see two sides to a coin. I was not in that staff assault. However,
I just said that, right? We need this because, oh man, I froze his face in a bad position, huh? But it's true. We need both sides of the coin. It's helpful.
he was. I did eventually come down from San Diego to Centenela and clean up the mess. And it was a mess. So the reason I bring that up, the reason why I bring that staff assault in Delta Gym was because that entire month, there was a month full of staff assaults at Centenela State Prison. I think there was some on Charlie Yard, for sure, Bravo Yard, then that big ass one in Delta Gym. So it was consecutive, right? So the administration at that time had some common sense. The good old days. What they did was they put extra staff members in the gym. You have to remember the gyms were housing inmates at the time, bunk beds. So on a regular day, you would have two officers at the podium. It's like an elevated podium where you can see everybody, and one officer up in the gym gun.
Okay, see now this is why it's a good thing to have both sides of the coin. I it trips me out because um Hector was saying um that the administration had common sense, right? That because of the month full of staff assault incidents in his way of looking at things, they had common sense by doubling staff. Now, coming from the convict perspective, the convict side, the blue side, he was on the green side. Coming from the blue side, um, that doesn't make sense to me. Okay, um, it makes sense to double staff, right? I understand they wanna try to secure their officers, make sure none of their officers lose their lives. But having been incarcerated, um, I can tell you right now that no convict wakes up in the morning unless he's a complete psychopath, and even then he's part of a group and cannot act as an individual. Convicts don't wake up and just say, you know what, I'm gonna go smack a cop today. You know what, I'm gonna go, poke a cop. So I have to be careful with the words I'm using in these videos because YouTube's really on it. Um, they don't wake up and say, I'm gonna run something in one of these cops. They don't do that. What happens is you have an officer or officers that are disrespectful. And it does not matter. When you're behind those walls, it does not matter, and it never will matter whether you're wearing blue or green. If a man is disrespected, a man is going to remind you that you need to give respect to everyone. So, what it sounds like to me, I was never in Centenela, but what it sounds like to me is that there was probably a plague there of disrespectful officers, and more than likely they were the younger ones because the younger ones would come out of the academy with they were being taught to be real slick with their mouth and their attitudes, and they were probably running into guys that were like, okay, you think so, I got you. So when I hear Hector say that the administration had common sense by doubling who was on duty, if you're doubling who's on duty and they have the same attitude, then you're doubling up the possibility of more staff assaults. That's just my point of view.
The observation post with a Mini 14 and a 40 millimeter less than lethal weapon. With the new staffing for that month, they had four officers on the podium. So they doubled it by two, and then they had an additional gunner. So now you have two gunners and four floor cops as a result of all these staff assaults that are happening throughout the institution. Well, 2008. I was doing a swap. All right. When you're brand spanking new, they make you, for all the viewers that don't know, when you're brand spanking new, you're on rotation. Meaning you're going to get rotated through all the shifts, all the watches, different positions. All right. Unless you're pretty, then you're just going to be up in staff entrance. Just kidding. But with Saturday,
He's not kidding.
Sunday's off. But you already know the get down. So, when I was assigned on first watch, meaning the graveyard shift, I freaking hated that shift. Oh, I couldn't stand it. So my buddy, who I worked with at Centenela and I worked with at Donovan, we would do swaps. He didn't mind it. On this particular day, I was working for him on third watch in Alpha Gym Gun. Okay, meaning I'm one of two gunners up at the top, taking care of my four floor cops because they gotta do count. Count consists of telling your inmates, get on your bunks, count time, on the microphone. See, I didn't lose it. So I bet you there's no warden that could do that right now, right? Because they never worked the line. So they got to go in between the bunks and count, right? You got a little piece of paper. It was count time. They got done doing their count. You had all races in Alpha Gym at this time. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to keep it honest with you guys. All right? Because I have up until this point, and I will continue to do. When my cops were done doing their count on the floor, they went back to the podium. It was kind of a little bit of downtime between the release of chow, meaning the evening meal, like around 5 p.m., 5:30 p.m.-ish. I started to nod off, like trying to catch a little bit of seconds of sleep, a little bit of minutes. Like I said, I was on first watch, the graveyard, so doing double shifts, 16 hours, 8 hours, and then going home for 4 days.
So anybody hearing that and being surprised by that, I can tell you in New Folsom and Pelican Bay, but especially in New Folsom, So on the level 4 180s, the convicts do not want to interact with the guards. The guards do not want to interact with the convicts. Everybody's supposed to know what they're doing, what's expected of them. The guards or COs there, they know. They come in. This is what would happen. New Folsom. So the cops would come in the morning, right? They would unlock because in New Folsom, most of the time you're gonna be self-fed. Same thing in the Bay. You're gonna be self-fed. And so the cops would come in the morning. They would get their keys, whatever, from the tower, and then they would unlock the utility closet, right? Go into their office, turn off the light, and go to sleep. The tower cop would let out his porters. Trust what are they not? They're tier tenders, trusty. Their porters or tier tenders. The tier tenders would come out, would grab their brooms, their mops, whatever, and get to work. But those cops would be in their office, lights off, and go to sleep. You know why? Because they know they can't stop anything that's going to happen that day. Their job is to respond to what happens, but they're never going to stop it. And the smart ones, they just go in there and get out of the way. When that alarm, that tower cop will hit the alarm when something happens. They'll wake up and they'll go cuff somebody, spray somebody, whatever they got to do, and then write the report. But it happens a lot, man, where they come in and they go to sleep because they can't stop anything.
So I'm nodding off. I'm asleep. All of a sudden, didn't take long. I heard my partner yell, "Oh shit!" And followed by like rumbling and bouncing and metal clanking and everything, right? I had the 40 millimeter up against the cage, up against the front of my the cage, because it's like you're looking through like this. It kind of hurts your eyes after a while, but there's slots where you can shoot out of or throw grenades out of. I jumped up, right? Picked up the 40 millimeter, put it through one of those slots, looked down. Yeah, the gym went off. It went off code 3 Riot. The blacks and the Mexicans. They're fighting in front of me, in between bunks. They are fighting everywhere. By the showers that were over there by the entrance. For sure by the latrine area, by the bathrooms. Crack alley. I mean, it is pockets of fighting, right? Code 3. They're not, get down. The alarm. I start shooting. I initially shoot like to my front, because that's where it was I could see. And you're supposed to shoot waist down. So, boom, shoot one, 40 millimeter. Reload. Mind you, we have two gunners. We have double the ammunition. So I have my load. He has his load. Standard issue. So that's double. The cops on the floor, they were just standing up like at the podium, like just watching everything. Like, I mean, there really is not shit that they can do, right? Their best bet was to just stay at that podium and stay out of danger. Plus, these rounds were bouncing around. The 40 millimeter less than lethal round. Thought I might have had one laying around. I guess I don't. Anyways, the 40 millimeter less than lethal round. It's like a little sponge round, right? With like little there's little wooden blocks that there's like, I can't remember if it's 3 or 5 little blocks that'll just, they skip, and you're supposed to skip them, and they hurt you. Yeah, lighting them up. Man, lighting them up.
And I'll tell you guys right now, there's the wooden blocks like he's talking about, and there's the rubber blocks. The wooden blocks do damage. The rubber ones hurt. I saw somebody get their eye blown out, lose an eye with the rubber one. But the wooden ones, when they hit, they were taking skin off. They are less than lethal, but you can get hit in the head with a wooden one, and you can go nuts. Like there's been people that get hit in the head with the wooden ones and not come back the same. So those things are, they're painful, and they can do some serious damage.
Lighting them up, lighting them up. They're still fighting. They're still fighting. One of the a thought that went through my head, if you're wondering, like Hector, what went through your head? Well, what went through my head was like, man, I don't have to worry about them shooting back at me because I had this 2008. In 2004, I was in Iraq. Only 4 years prior, but it was still fresh in my mind. I was still kind of going through it. And then you have to worry about people shooting back at you when you're shooting at them. So I remember thinking like, oh shit, they're not shooting back at me. Like I don't have to like shoot, duck, shoot, duck. Like it's just straight unload, reload. I kind of remember the door to the gyms opening, right? And my buddy, he was an officer. Man, I told you the department is small. I told you the department is small. We used to work together on Alpha Yard as officers. He's now a sergeant at Donovan, and then I went over to Donovan as a sergeant and lieutenant. So he tells me, damn, bro, we couldn't run in. We could not run in because all we saw were the rounds just ricochet. Can you imagine? It's kind of like ping pong or, like pinball, ping pong, whatever you want to call it. Just shit bouncing around all over the place. Inmates fighting. They stop. They get down. This happened. This was going on for a couple minutes. Blacks and Mexicans, inmates. I shot everything I had up there. My partner shot everything he had up there. The guys at the podium were just chilling. Like I said, they were just watching. Like I can't recall if they were spraying. They might have been spraying with their MK9, their pepper spray. They might have. I don't recall that. I looked to the bathroom area. All the black inmates had pushed to the bathroom area. The Mexicans were kind of just scattered and down. I see a black inmate flopping around, convulsing. The dude was convulsing. That's the word I'm going to use. That's what he was doing. Convulsing. I'm like, oh my God, did I shoot this guy? Did I shoot this guy in the head and now he's convulsing and now I'm going to prison? That shit went through my head, right? But because I was shooting all races, I wasn't aiming.
Just so you know, that's good that he was thinking that, but if he would have shot him and he would have killed him, I mean, he still got to say what happened. He wouldn't have gone to prison. There's been certain COs in New Folsom that had killed multiple people. It gets justified because there are no warning shots in the California Department of Corrections. Uh, I'm actually surprised that nobody reached for a Mini 14. Usually they'll go a few times with the block guns. What he's talking about is a block gun that he's firing, him and his partner, and then they'll bring out the real stuff, and then that's when stuff's gonna get hectic. But yeah, had he killed him, he would have been it would have been justified because those uh, 40 caliber rounds were the warning shot. When actually there's signs posted everywhere in all the buildings, on the yard, everywhere. There's no warning shots. You gonna do something in California, they can blow your head off or blow a chunk out of you.
For their heads, but like I see this dude bouncing around, and I'm like, oh my God, I fucking killed this guy. It turns out, the staff members they come, they get him, they load him on a gurney, on a stretcher, and they take him out. Fast forward, it turns out that inmate got stabbed by the Mexicans in the lung, punctured his lung. That's kind of common. Lung is getting punctured, and stabbed in the scrotum. Yeah, the nuts.
All right, well that's unfortunate to hear that. Um, and I can say that in doing over 24 years in California, you I think I only heard of it two. Well, I know for a fact I only heard of that 2 times, and I'll tell you, it was Pelican Bay. I think it was around this time actually that he's talking about. The Raza from Northern California moved on the Raza from Southern California, and they hit dudes from Southern California in their nuts, which I had never heard of before in my life. Because if there is guerra, it's not personal, it's business. No matter which adversary that you're going after, that's still a man, and you treat him like a man. You only hit somebody in the balls like that if they're a sex offender or they've done something to women and children. But you didn't do men like that. So I did hear about around that same time, around 2008 or so, the raza from Northern California doing that to some Southerners, and then on the run back, the Southerners did it back to them. And that's not something that people should engage in. And I didn't hear about it after that, so maybe cooler heads prevailed on that. But yeah, it's unfortunate to hit somebody in their nuts like that. That's when you're getting very extremely personal.
Dude got stabbed in the nuts. And he was suffering a asthma attack. That's what caused him to start seizing up or doing whatever he was doing. Fucking out of there. Go get some help. When to go get that medical treatment. Now comes the restraint process. Fuck. This riot wasn't a mess, like as far as Bravo Jim's riot that I talked about, because there wasn't much chemical agents. I don't recall, very minimal. I think they probably threw one grenade, but it was mostly the shooting up at the top because we had two gunners. I remember there's the way to get in through the gym gun is through the rooftop. I remember the doors bursting open, the door, boom, and the way that the sunlight was hitting, it was my homie from Hawaii. This dude had long hair, like long hair, crazy. He had a gas mask on, crazy ass long hair, and was holding like this all kinds of rounds. Say, here, bro, I got you. Fuck, I look like a fucking monster coming through the door. First, I had to the focus, like, oh shit, hey, we're good right now, but here, give me a couple. So we get a couple rounds, we put them there. But they had already stopped fighting. That was a wrap. That was a Code 3 riot. Alpha Gym. Blacks and Mexicans. Probably 2008. I came in 2006, early 2007. I had a year in the department. I was on a swap, working third watch for a friend, right?
So to explain, because I don't know if he's already done that. So third watch is basically they come in at 3 o'clock from 3 to 11, I believe it is, or 2 to 11. And first watch is the night crew, the ones that come in around 11. They work at night, and then the morning crew is second watch up until 3, right? So he's saying he worked from 2 to 11 or 3 to 11. I'm not sure. He could tell you. He could clarify that because I'm sure he'll see this. But just so you know what he meant by that.
We had two gunners up there instead of one. We had four floor cops on the floor instead of two, as a result of all the staff assaults that were happening that month at Centenela State Prison. This is a level 3. This is the level 3 GP. At that time, I want to say, well, Charlie Yard had already converted to level 4, but the rest of the prison was level 3. And all GP, no S and Y. But there you go on that riot. There's a couple more I'm going to speak about as you stay tuned. All right, so continue to share.
There you go. As he's saying, share, support his channel. But I would like to hear his. Maybe he'll do a video on this, a follow up, and explain or give his opinion on why those staff assaults were occurring. Because, like I said, I'm sure he knows. Um, Dudes in there want to do their time. They want to be able to make their money, party, whatever they can do in there. And when the yard goes on lockdown, when there's staff assaults, some stabbings, whatever, that interferes with money. That interferes with business. Um, that's not something that people are allowed to just wake up, like I said earlier, wake up and be like, you know, I feel like doing this, and then go out and do it. They can't do that. It's not gonna happen. So I really, you know, me with my experience in prison, believe that there had to be officers that were not trained properly, that were being disrespectful in the way they were talking to people, probably, or the words they were using, and you know they were getting touched because of that. So anyways, that's his video, that's my reaction. Hopefully you guys liked it. If you did, do me a favor, hit the like. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down and let me know what you didn't like. Share the video with somebody you think would be interested in it. And if you aren't already subscribed, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate your time. Everybody be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, right? I'm out.